Once upon a time, in a distant corner of the continent, there thrived a rich and peaceful African kingdom. The land was blessed with rain, song, and the harmony of its people. The fields yielded great harvest, and the markets overflowed with color and laughter. From sunrise to sunset, joy danced across the land. This kingdom was ruled by King Baraka, a wise man known for his justice and strength. The people loved him deeply, and his name was spoken with respect across every village. At his side was Queen Chiso, a woman whose beauty was said to rival the morning sun. She was beautiful, graceful, kind, and her presence brought calm. Their harmony and joy reached its peak when Queen Chiso gave birth to 3 sons in one night. The kingdom erupted in celebrations, for the triplets were a sign of great favor from the ancestors. The boys were named Kiongozi, Amani, and Mao. As they grew, the palace echoed with laughter and mischief. At 9 years old, they were already showing signs of who they will become. The queen watched over them with warm, loving smiles. She was a proud mother, even in her quietest moments. But life, like seasons, changes without warning. Queen Chiso fell ill, and no medicine or prayer could save her. Slowly, her light began to fade away, and her body weakened day by day. She passed. The people mourned, and even King Baraka carried his grief like a heavy cloak. Still, he found strength in his sons and vowed to raise them well. Time moved forward, and the triplets became men at their age of 22. Their paths had shaped them, and their differences became even clearer. Kiongozi, the eldest, became a warrior, brave, strong, and noble in character. Amani was humble, wise, and carried peace wherever he went. Mao, the youngest, grew proud and difficult, handsome but often harsh with words and action. Many feared his temper and kept a distance. King Baraka, now aged and often alone, spent many days in reflection. He missed his queen dearly and thought of the future of his kingdom. One evening, he summoned his sons for a private meeting. He told them it was time to find wives, to begin their own legacies. He gave them a challenge. The challenge was to find a woman who possessed the character of their late mother. The one who succeeded will inherit the crown. Kiongozi set off with courage in his heart and returned with a woman who was kind and strong. But this woman lacked the beauty that once lit the queen's face. Amani, on the other hand, found a loving wife whose spirit was pure, yet her appearance, though sweet, did not carry the radiance of the queen, Chiso. Mao scoffed at his brothers, feeling superior every way. Determined to find both grace and beauty, he left without a word. Far beyond the borders of their land, past mountains and thick forests, lay a mysterious village near a quiet river. It was a place whispered about in fear. Here lived 3 powerful snake sisters, Nyoka, Makali, and Zuri, guardians of the dark magic and ancient secrets. They could shapeshift into anything they wanted, hiding their serpent forms beneath beauty and shadow. Long ago, they had been hunted by men and forced into hiding. Since then, they had grown in power, waiting for the right moment to rise again. One day, the wind carried a whisper to their ears, the tale of the king's challenge and the prince's quest. it stirred something deep within them. Nyoka, the eldest and most cunning, became intrigued by the idea of returning among humans in disguise. She saw a chance to win power, love, and perhaps revenge against humankind. Nyoka, cloaked in dark magic, transformed into a stunning young woman with eyes like moonlight and voice soft as river wind. Her beauty rivaled that of Queen Chisel, and her presence felt almost otherworldly. She waited by the shores of the great river, knowing Mao would pass that way. When he did, their eyes met, and he was struck as if by lightning. Mao fell deeply in love at first sight, convinced he had found the perfect bride. Her elegance, mystery, and beauty enchanted him completely. He asked for her hand in marriage, eager to return home victorious. Nyoka, smiling gently, agreed, but with a single condition. She told him that he must carry her on his back from that very spot until they reached his father's kingdom. Her tone was calm, yet her eyes warned that this condition was not to be broken. Without hesitation, Mao agreed and lifted her onto his back and began the long journey. At first, the path was light, and Mao walked proudly through open grassland and along winding roads. But as hours passed and the sun burnt above, fatigue began to weigh him down. By the roadside, Mao pleaded with Nyoka to calm down so they could rest for a while. But Nyoka tightened her grip and refused, her voice growing sharp and firm. Instead, she began to sing a haunting song beneath the trees, and the song goes like this. Mau mau, wabeda beda, wabeda beda. He just gathered strength, and once more they continued on, his steps heavier than before. Nyoka smiled and returned as they moved forward, deeper and deeper into the unknown. The road stretched ahead, and once more, by the side of the road, where the earth cracked with heat, Mao stopped and pleaded with Nyoka, but Nyoka sang the same song. After days of travel, Mao and Nyoka finally reached the village. Their arrival stirring a wave of excitement, the people gathered, singing and dancing, for Mao had returned with a woman of unmatched beauty. As the evening fell, fires were lit and food was prepared for royal village feasts. Laughter echoed across the night as drums beat and stories were told. But Mao's body was weak and worn. With trembling hands, he returned to Nyoka and begged softly, "Please, it is time to eat. Calm down." Nyoka refused and sang, "Wachiema chiema, Mao Mao, wachiema chiema." Even when everyone had retired to sleep and they were alone in their sleeping chamber, Nyoka still refused to calm down. With no strength left to argue, Mao gave in and laid down. Deep in the night, something began to shift in the darkness. Her arms melted away, her skin darkened and stretched. Mao woke with a gasp, his eyes wide in horror as he tried to scream, but it was too late. The snake tightened her grip and began to crush the breath from his lungs. He struggled, kicked. With a final hiss, the snake opened his jaws and swallowed him whole, his figure disappearing into the dark coil. Then slowly, the massive snake began to shrink, bones snapping and scales twitching. It morphed into a small black rat with glimmering red eyes. The rat scurried to the window, pausing once to glance back at the room. Then, without a sound, it slipped into the shadow and vanished into the night.